first off, bro, you're rocking a shiny new Vins, huh?
Yeah, man, I'm loving it. It goes real fast.
Dude, yeah. What is it? It's an AMG, right?
Yeah, it's AMG E63S.
E63. What is the S? Does that mean super fast?
Super fast. I should know this. When you buy one, you know that stuff. When you win it, you
You don't even care.
awesome, dude. Thanks. Give it to me. What is the S for? Son of a bitch, I got a Mercedes, I guess.
E63 sales. There you go.
E63S.
So, dude, you kind of won a sales contest of sorts. Can you take us through what you won and why you won it?
Yeah, so early last year, Heartland Financial Group, who we love, I've been told I'm supposed to say that we love them, uh, since they got me.
Those lovely people, lovely, lovely, lovely.
That was one of the rules. You have to do this to win it. Then you have to say that you love them. No, Heartland Financial Group, Ted Moot, Nick Micheletti, those guys had a contest, and they decided, and they did this a year before for a company called Equitable for production. This year they did it for Mutual of Omaha, top individual Mutual of Omaha MedSup sales. And they did it by app count. So I don't remember what the total numbers were, but mine was a good ways above the second place guy. So the contest was actually for a CLA, Mercedes CLA. Was number one. Number two prize was like $5,000 cash. Number three was 2,500. But I blew it so far out of the water, and our team did such a good job collectively too. On multiple agents were up there on the list within our team, that I was able to a little bit negotiate out a better Mercedes. So I got the E63S, which has 604 horsepower. I do know that. That sounds pretty cool. I don't really know what it means. I just know it's fast. So, but yeah, it was a top individual MedSup sales contest for Mutual of Omaha within Heartland Financial Group's hierarchy, and that's where we were, man.
Dude, that's
awesome.
That's cool. I think it just means 604 horsepower means you're gonna get speeding tickets, but you can afford them. So it's cool. No biggie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I imagine everybody's got this question kind of deep in the back of their mind. Like, okay, he won it, but he's got a bunch of agents. He's a Medicare guru. He's got a bunch of agents under him. So was this just your production, right? It wasn't just the team?
Yeah, so it's based on individual writing number production. It's not based on agency production. There were probably bigger collective agencies that did more than us, as an entire entity, but not an individual writing number. So a lot of people probably, think that we had people putting apps in my writing number, but we didn't, because actually of the top 20 agents on their list, like 9 of them were in our office. So we're in our hierarchy. So if I was putting them in my name, how did I get 8 more people from my office in the top 20 list? So that doesn't really add up. But the number 3 guy who got $2,500 his office is right next door to me. He works for us. And the number 4 guy who's mad that he wasn't the number 2 guy, and the number 2 guy who's mad that he wasn't the number 3 guy who wasn't the number 2 guy, the number 4 guy is in that office right next to me. So, we just do a high volume of applications in here. There's no way around it. I mean, it's not individual application. It's not agency collective production, but it is. We do a lot of apps because we advertise a lot. Advertising works. Go figure.
Crazy.
Yep.
Spend $1, make 3, do it a freaking lot.
Yep.
Absolutely. So was this? Yeah. My last question on this note, because I like talking about 604 horsepower Mercedes, but it would be kind of cool to figure out how to get the 604 horsepower Mercedes as opposed to just having it. Was this? So you got a bunch of your boys. You had 9 of your crew in the top 20. Was this just for you guys, or how many agents were total? Were in this thing?
Oh, they had there was a top 100 list that I Saul, and
Wow.
there were some other top producers right up there with us. The number two guy was not part of my team. He was actually with an agency that Hans Scheil owns in North Carolina, and he was the closest one to knocking me off my totem pole. And actually, that office had some more people in the top 20 as well. So there are other places that do as much production or more production than we do. It's just, but maybe I'm the one that has a face on, Facebook because I share a lot of information online. So I'm the one people know about, and I just so happen to be the one that won the Mercedes this time, and it's gotten a lot of attention for sure.
Gone. Well, congrats, bro. That's awesome. So if you guys look at trends, I mean, if Justin and his boys, like his crew, maybe you have some girls there, your men and women you have 9 out of 20, and then you have another agency unrelated to you that has a few out of 20, out of the top 20 as well. One could assume that there's some kind of a method to the madness, and if you have the marketing skills and you have the sales skills, there's probably a right way to do it, and then there's probably the way that everyone else is doing it. Would I be too far off if I said that?
No, I mean I think that there is a method. I don't think that it's like something where we have this perfect concoction. I think that we probably have a better concoction than other people because we've tried a lot of things, failed at some, succeeded at some, and doubled down where we succeed, and and basically we're not afraid to spend money because we make it hand over fist back, on the other side. So, I think that most of the people that think what we're doing is impossible, which I get some of that, and it's always annoying because I'm like, I know it's not because we're doing it. But you do get some of that, and the big takeaway really is that most of them are afraid to spend money. They don't believe in the process of spending money on advertising. That's what I see as being the biggest difference maker. Second is they get out of their head, or they get in their own head, and they're thinking about too many things, and they're not getting in front of people, whether it's on the phone or in person. Either way, that's what's going to replicate and make you money, because you have to be selling something. So a lot of people get onto the advertising side of things, and they're like trying to perfect everything, gotta get everything perfect, gotta be perfect, or I'll never, and then they're spending so much time doing that they're not actually selling, and then it's like, what the hell are you, working on? So we do see like a mixture. You have to not be afraid to spend money advertising, but then you have to, after you spend the money advertising, you have to spend the time working those leads, those prospects, and talking to people, and doing whatever you can to talk to as many people. So, no, there's no perfect concoction. It works better and better over time. The more money you spend and the more people you talk to, the easier it gets, because you're going to get more and more referrals. The larger your book gets, you're going to get name recognition from advertising, in a certain area. There's just a lot of different reasons it gets easier. It gets easier to acquire a client, but then you have scaling issues. So, business is always a struggle to grow. So you really have to love and love the process of doing it, and believe in it, and do it. And so I think the biggest thing that I've ever brought to the table with these types of conversations is hopefully I can make somebody who's a naysayer believe in something so that they do it, and they try long enough to succeed, because that's probably what most people do. They don't try long enough to succeed. They spend money for 30 days and they're like, why am I not a millionaire? Justin Broxton said, spend money. I spent money for 30 days and I'm not a millionaire yet, or I don't make a fortune. I didn't get a Mercedes. And so they're really, really, just have a very, very, very short fuse on that stuff. So I think that's the perfect concoction, is just being willing to try things, spend money, put your money where your mouth, put your money where your mouth is, or something. That kind of stuff. I just don't think most people want to do it. And if you go out, I have talked about advertising a billion different ways. I've talked about buying old leads. I've talked about Facebook advertising. I've talked about all these things. Everything I talk about is something that we've tried and has worked to some degree. And so I like telling people that everything works a little, nothing works a lot, but a little can make you a lot of money when you get one stream working a little over here, and you get another stream working a little over here, and you get another stream working a little over here. All of a sudden, it is working a lot because it's collective little streams. If it's even profitable a smidge, why not do it? So that's our mentality on things, and then I don't know. Then it just works really well for us now. We do a ton of production. We do drastically more each year than we did the year before. And meanwhile, the renewals keep going up over 30% a year right now for the last 3 years, and 10% a year before that. So it's just compounding, and it feels like a little bit of an unstoppable force. People coming into our backyard now to advertise are going up against people that have been spending so much money building a brand here that they can't really win here. They can make money, but they're not like it's not gonna hurt us. You know what I mean? Because we've laid that foundation, and that's why I so strongly believe in marketing and advertising, because that name recognition is something that you can't recreate on like a buy leads type of system. You have to do something to get your name in front of people.
Absolutely. So would you say your guys, you're obviously very well known, but your crew in the office, when they're talking to, say, a stranger or their first call on the phone, do they know who they are? Like, is there generally name recognition, or would you say the majority of them are kind of cold? Like, how does that kind of break down? Not for you, but more importantly for your crew, who's pretty solid.
So we get a little bit of a mixture. We get some that are cold, and we get some that are we get a lot that are cold, and we get a lot that are extremely hot. I don't think there's much in between. With Facebook, you kind of never know what you're going to get. I get some that are much more excited to talk to me than others, or for all of us in here, and then I get some that are that are denied that they even filled out our lead forms and all that, BS, but it's just a mixture. It's just a numbers game with that, So I don't think that anybody that's acting like all I work is super hot, awesome leads. I'm like, what are you selling? 3 apps a month? Like that's crap. We do get more hot leads now than we did 3 or 4 years ago. But that's because we've been dumping gasoline on our bonfire. If our business is a fire, we've been dumping gasoline on it for years. So we're getting those referrals now, but you can't get referrals until you've done something to earn the referral. You know what I mean? So.
Yep.
That's where we're at.
That's cool. You mentioned Facebook in our last little powwow a couple weeks ago. You said, and by the way, guys, if you didn't see the first one, we talked all about marketing. Here we're going to talk, we're kind of skimming the surface on marketing because we spent an hour on it before. So if you haven't seen the other one, go into the group, go take a look at it. If you can't find it, go shoot me a PM and I'll get it over to you because it's like super high level, super valuable. So, Justin, you said last time that if you're kind of like starting off with this, Facebook works really, really, really well. As kind of the best form, just to pick one form of marketing, you would probably start with Facebook. Is that a good synopsis of what we were chatting about?
It's definitely the easiest platform to get into and begin to build a business around.
Great.
There are other ones that we have that work, but that is the first platform I'd go into for sure.
Awesome. So take me through your crew. You have people who are afraid of picking up the phone, afraid of phone calls, and it's just I was that way when I first started. So like, oh my God, what am I going to say? But then once you get past that, you've got some killer mentalities. And killer, not meaning kill them, but I'm going to really serve them to the best of my ability. If they're on the phone with me, then they've indicated that they need help. It's my job to figure it out, find something that helps them, and serve them. What sort of mindset do you got? Do you guys have any like tricks to develop that mindset or to kind of cultivate it?
I think again, like a lot of it is like even when I door knocked, you had to go into every single contact attempt believing you were going to close that contact attempt. What happens to the average human being is as they're calling leads, they begin to think that the most frequent thing that happens to them is the thing that's definitely going to happen to them this time. I mean, if you really know the numbers of my Facebook leads, we're closing about 14.81% right now. Not about. That's exactly what we're closing. 14.81%.
Hmm.
So the majority of the time, you're not closing them, right? So 14.18% is a low percentage, but that's actually we think it's really good because I've been as low as 6%. But on average out like over the last year, we're at 14.81%. So we're totally happy with that, right? My lead cost is in different variables around there, but it's right. I mean, lately I've actually gotten down to $11 a day or $11 a lead, and at 14.81%, that's super profitable. It's probably averaging around the 20 mark on a lead cost. But then when you're closing, more than 1 in 10, 1.5 out of 10, that's pretty good, right? But if I believe that the most common interaction I had, which did not result in a sale, was going to be the result every time, that's probably what would happen. Normally, what you believe is what comes true for you.
Hmm.
I think that this is just almost like a life skill. That most people believe that life is this thing where you got to go get this shitty job that you hate and you make as much money as you can, and hopefully you'll get $1 an hour raise every 6 years, and that's what you believe. So that's what you get. But then when you believe that there's something more and you could do something else, a lot of those people make something else out of it. I'm not saying it's all about getting rich, but even if you could earn that same wage doing something that you didn't hate, that if you believe in it, then it comes true. And sales is no different. Whatever you believe can happen. And sometimes you got to force yourself to believe that until you've done it long enough to know it's true. We have dry spells.
Hmm.
Lately we haven't had one in a while. We didn't through COVID either. We've got really good sales weeks, but been unusual because last year, even I remember going through that annual dry spell where we're thinking, man, the app count is really low right now for the office. But the longer I'd been in it, the more I knew it doesn't matter. Just keep doing exactly what you're doing, be happy about it, showing up and do it, and it works out. Like that week doesn't really mean anything. You know what I mean? It just happens that way. So, but that's because I believe in it now. My first couple of years, I was like, what the hell's going on? I've wrote 3 apps this week. I'm last week, and in my early years, I wasn't writing that many anyway, but like when you write 3 applications and you're used to 10, that was a big deal. Last fall, I had a week where I wrote 100 in 1 week, a
What?
little over 100. Yeah, that's total applications. So MedSup, cancer, life, dental, vision, and hearing, all of them together. Did over 100 personally in 1 week. Um,
What?
yeah, that a lot of people don't understand that. So we try to break down the numbers. If you
Yeah.
think of it, if I'm working 40 hours, and in that 40 hours, I'm doing nothing but sitting in front of someone or on the phone with people with high buyer intent,
Hmm.
which we set up all year long. Okay. Like people that I can't help in the middle of the year, I'm normally putting them on a follow up list for the fall where typically there's something I can help them with based on Medicare underwriting. In that fall enrollment period, I fill my entire pipeline up, not with leads, but with leads from the whole year that have high buyer intent. So during the
Hmm.
fall, I'm doing nothing but talking to people that if I can get them to say yes, they can get the product and I can sell them multiple policies, right? So that's how you layer a 40 hours or maybe a little more of nothing but sitting with clients. I order lunch to the office every day. The lunch comes in here. We eat in the room. We all take 10 minutes to eat and we're back at the damn thing. It's like it's for 2 months. It's like that for almost 2 solid months. It's the harvest, and you can do over 100 apps now. I'm not just working 40 hours, because then I have to, at the end of the day, I'm closing up all the paperwork, buttoning everything up, logging business, checking all that stuff. But you're doing that after hours, right? So, but none of those things anybody believes is possible until you do it. So I believe it's totally possible for anyone, really, or most people, once they know that they can do it, or they whatever, you layer your potential over time, and you like, oh, well, if that's possible, maybe this is possible. Oh, if that's possible, maybe this is possible. It's the same thing like when I was in boot camp, and I remember when I first got there, I wasn't like a long distance runner type of kid. And you first get there and you're like dying to run a mile and a half, and they're like, all right, today we're running 3 miles, and I just remember like the first time it was that, and the next, like, a week later, like, now we're running 6 miles. And I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this. And every time you would do it, and once you had done it, you were like, oh, I can do that. I'd probably do more, and then it just changes that mentality of, I can't do this, I can't do this, and can't do this. I can't remember the book, but there's like a book that this Navy SEAL wrote about this entire principle. It's like all these things that people don't believe they can do, you can do a whole lot more than you think you can once you like just get outside of your own head and do it. And you can do it, and once you've done it, you're like, that's not even as bad as I thought it would be, Now I will say this, writing 100 apps a week to me just means you need to hire more agents. That's what it meant to me. Like, if I had to write 100 apps in a week, that's a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of responsibility on just my shoulders. So we hired more agents. So, and if I have to do that again this fall, I'm going to hire more agents, because there's no reason I should have to write that many. But, you got to make hay while the sun is shining, so if they're lining up, you got to ride them.
That's awesome. And I think like a big picture takeaway, like forget about or try, nobody can forget about the 100 apps a week because it's awesome. But how you did it, the mechanism to do it, the training, the planning, saying like, hey, I'm not just going to talk to leads in this time. My time's very valuable to me. I'm taking all these people that I spoke with over the year, turning them into solid prospects who want to buy from me, educating them, and just putting them on the calendar. All right, now I'm gonna close Susie. Now Aunt Mabel. Now Aunt Greta. I don't know why I use Aunt Mabel and Aunt Greta all the time when I'm talking about these fictitious
both
conversations.
Of your aunts, Aunt Greta and Aunt Mabel. I've written them. I'm going to get into a HIPAA violation if I'm not careful. Yeah,
right.
I do have a Mabel, though. I won't say her last name, but.
Good. Good stuff. So guys, that is super valuable right there. This is how to structure not only your time, but structure your year to just like Justin says, harvest. So if you like that, I love it. Give me a button mash some likes or some loves or something like that, because that's super. I love it. So good. That's cool, man. That's cool. So as far as can we go into kind of like an individual sales conversation, kind of from top to bottom?
Yeah, I can do that.
Sweet, man. How does are you going after normally when you're not pushing folks off to the fall because you can't help them right now? Are you and your crew going for one call closes, or is it follow-ups?
We're going for one call closes, but we're not afraid of the follow-up. We always hope that we can get that, one call close, but we're not, like, our pitches are not anything crazy. We have an extremely high persistency rate because we try to be a complete educational resource. So we don't want to lose anybody. Now, I don't want like somebody who has no legitimate excuse to not commit right away, because it's hard to get them back. Like a lot of times, if they have no real excuse, like say they're in that window where they really need to make a decision, all the decision makers are there, and they need to talk about it, something like that. That I don't think is a great reason to let them go. But, we have a lot of people that get in that window and, for whatever reason, they're retiring from Medicare and they're going to need their Medicare to start 5 months from now. So technically I could go ahead and get their Medicare supplement done, so to speak. But like, I understand if somebody's like, yeah, I think that's the route we're going to go, and I'm going to, call you back when we get closer to it. Like, those are obvious, things that there are obvious reasons that I wouldn't really press too hard. And I think in the long run, we do better not being overly salesy or pushy, um, but just being that educational resource. Now, if somebody does, get off the phone with you, you do have to put in a great follow up, mechanism where you're actually reaching back out to them. And, we have like automation where it just, does the SMS and puts them into a different campaign and follows up with them automatically. And then our agents are supposed to reach back out to them and call them every so often. Or if they're like that case where they're like, well, my Part B doesn't start for 7 months. Well, let's put it in a queue and call him back in 2 months when he's in that Part B open enrollment period. Things like that. But we do try to go for the one call closes. I love those, and we do get a fair amount of them. Some people, if you're very educational, you're just telling them, things that they didn't know, and you're helping, but you're very calm and nice about it. You can put people at ease, and they want to buy from you. I don't think that Wolf of Wall Street call center mentality really works on Medicare beneficiaries because I just think they'll hang up on you. I mean, and they just don't want to be talked to that way, and they don't trust you. So we just try to be like their grandson. Hey, I'm just, I'm over here. This is all I do. I tell them all the time. I say, listen, I eat, sleep, live, and breathe Medicare. It's what I do. So I know as much as anybody else out there knows about it, and what I don't know, I find out, and I'm very studious of Medicare. I want to help you and answer any questions. Do you mind if I give you a tutorial for Medicare and tell you everything, that I know about it and see if I fill in any blanks for you or something like that. And I'm not pitchy, so I don't do like a script where it's the same thing every time. I almost feel like I try to hire people that can read people a little bit and know how they need to be talked to. And you can do that over the phone too. People's tonality, their immediate response they have, things like that. And the trick on the phone is just keep them on the phone for 3 minutes. Once you can keep them on the phone for a few minutes, you can break down all those barriers, and then they'll start sharing stuff with you, and you'll start talking, and you can be friends. But if they try to get off, they're going to try to get off the phone with you in the first 30 seconds. So you gotta get them past those points, past the 30 seconds, and then past the 3 minutes. 30 seconds is the hardest part, but then you just got to carry on enough non-awkward conversation to get them 3 minutes on the phone, and then then they'll tell you everything. But then you got to use the whole Jordan Belfort straight line selling thing, which is Wolf of Wall Street, but not salesy, not not with like the bells and whistles of being fancy. But straight line selling just means don't let them deviate too far from the path that takes you to the sale. If they start talking about their cousins, aunts, uncles, newborn baby and Jesus and all this stuff, you might just have yourself a talker. So you got to deviate them back to the sale. And if they're, you can find there's some people that are tire kickers and they just want to hang out with you on the phone. You got to be careful with that. But so I say don't be Wolf of Wall Street, but the Wolf of Wall Street does have a great principle in straight line selling directly to the sale. Start where I am now, and this is the line to the sale, and I can only really deviate within this small margin where I'm bouncing back to the sale. So, which sounds like an oversimplification, but it really is that simple. We're gonna allow questions that gather enough information for me to bring it back into the sales path.
Yeah,
that's it.
Dude. So that's funny. So I've taken straight line persuasion, and what you say is so true. I use it quite a bit for final expense and then kind of my scripting. And you're right. You do have to keep them on a straight line. You use a lot of tonality, a lot of listening. You can kind of tell, and you can match them and those little things. Well, that's why you basically told us, I want to go back to something you said, but one thing you did tell us is one of my questions verbatim is, how can you sound like an expert without sounding like a jerk?
Yeah. That's
And
it.
you just did it.
Just be a genuine human being who won't keep them
Hmm.
on the phone long enough to get comfortable, and then know a little more than they do. Don't be a know-it-all asswipe, but know more than they do about it. And you do. You should know more than they do. I mean,
God, I hope so.
normally they don't know shit about it. So you don't have to be like, the expert of all experts to know more than your client does. Very rarely do I get one that I'm like, holy shit, this guy knows a lot about it. And normally they're like engineers or accountants or something. I have had insurance agents come to us, a lot of them, for their med sub. People with health license come to us for med subs, and they're like, I know about med subs. I used to sell them. I know a Plan F is the best, but they don't know anything about Medicare. When they get into it, I'm like, shit, I have clients that have never done insurance that know more about this than you. So most people don't know anything about it. You learn, you take, I have that little Medicare Academy, just A to Z Medicare. You go through those videos in a night, and you'd know more about Medicare than almost anybody in the country on Medicare. So,
Yeah.
you know,
And I think a good client, they don't want to be an expert. Why do you want, like, for our like final expense, who cares? Medicare, I just want the best thing for me. I don't need to know how the how the Mercedes engine gives you 604 horsepower. I just need to know that if I step on the gas, I'm getting a speeding ticket, or actually I won't, because I'm going to outrun the cops.
that's right.
That's it. It's
That's
the
awesome.
result, not the
Yeah.
mechanism so much. And if they are overly concerned about the mechanism, they might have something with them which isn't going to make them a perfect client. They're probably going to be shopping around. Their eyes are off of the prize, which is protecting themselves and their family. It's just, do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Sometimes they're
definitely-
too smart for their own good.
My favorite customer is one that comes in and he's like, I don't want to know anything about it. I just want you to do for me what you would do for your grandma or your mom. A lot of them will say mom because they think of them as being my parents, but a lot of them are my grandparents' age. So, but I will, and I tell them, I'm like, I use that on people. I'll say, it's funny. Like I'll be like, this is a Cigna Plan F. That's what I have my grandmother on. And I'll say that, like, if I put my grandmother on it, like, I believe it's a good plan. So,
I get people who ask me, would you sell this to your parents? Would you sell this to your grandparents? And I come back for your grandparents, like, my grandparents are all dead.
would you sell this to your parents? Yes.
Yeah, but they died, and now I'm a millionaire because I gave them so much damn life insurance.
I don't need life insurance anymore myself because I sold so much to my parents that now I'm rich.
Yeah. Oh, seriously, man. So how do you, and by the way, guys, like Justin's giving us like tactics, like exact things to say. Like, I hope when you're watching this, obviously you can't do it right now, but if you're watching this on replay, when he says something smart, can you pause it and rewind it and listen to it again and write it down? Do it. I can identify like 4 or 5 things so far, and we just getting started. So, Can you tell, do you have a good tactic to keep people on the phone for the first, say, 30? I think 3 minutes is okay. Once you're past the 30-second buffer, you can start the rapport building. Maybe I'm wrong with Medicare, but for the first 30 seconds, like, how would you keep me on the phone if I don't know who you are?
If it's a Facebook lead, for instance, we're gonna call them and say, hey, Mrs. Smith, this is Justin Brock. I'm with Bobby Brock Insurance, and we got your quote request on Facebook on that little ad that popped up, and I just wanted to, reach out and see, what questions you had. And then normally textbook response is, I didn't mean to click that. I didn't have, I really don't have any questions. I say, I understand that normally that happens a lot. Those little Facebook things are fidgety as all get out. I've submitted my stuff through some of them, and didn't mean to. So on your Medicare right now, what coverage do you have right now? And I just divert around it and keep talking.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it works very well for me. I just keep on talking right past their objection. Honestly, most of the time your rebuttal isn't particularly relevant, like as to exactly what it is. It's like
Hmm.
some people want a canned rebuttal, like, okay, if they say this, then I say this. And I learned this from Medicare Bob. Medicare Bob, Robert Bates, a good friend of mine, and we do Medicare Monsters together. And I had been using this tactic without even really realizing it that it worked for me. But he says it doesn't matter what the rebuttal is; it just matters that you have one. So even if the rebuttal's stupid, like, yeah, I didn't click that, and you say, oh man, those websites are just going haywire and grabbing up information. I'm so sorry about that, and then you just keep on going. It doesn't matter that it doesn't make sense, and you just kept talking about the Medicare. It just matters that you kept the conversation going. I mean, you could come up with some exacerbated thing like, oh, well, let me just get a little more information so we can get you off our list so it doesn't keep on calling. But that's just a flat out lie. So I just keep on
Yeah.
talking right past it. I am honest about the fact that, sometimes people accidentally submit lead requests they didn't mean to. I try to, sometimes I'll tell them, you're a liar. You're a liar, and you clicked that button. No, I don't say that. That doesn't
Damn, man,
work.
you're so late. You're so laid back and chill. Suddenly we got like the type A side of Brock coming out here. Um, but no, I think that's absolutely true. Like if you're natural, you sound laid back and you expect it. Oh wow, I didn't expect to call. Yeah, well, that's why we're calling. Blah 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 blah. Like I don't care. It's all
Right.
good. Just trying to help you.
Yeah.
Um, that's cool. And would you agree that a lot of the objections later on in the call, this is how like I feel, so I could be wrong, but at least it works in final expense. A lot of the objections that come up later in the call, like, oh, I can't afford it, email me the information, I'll have to think about it, blah blah blah. Don't you think those are more like you think those are like trust things that you can kind of get past by rapport building and expertise building in
Yeah,
the
and the way
beginning?
that you rapport build is again keep them on the phone a little bit longer.
Hmm.
You don't have to hit it head on. Like, what do you need to think about? Like a lot of people have
Nah.
these canned responses like, well, we've talked a lot about it, so tell me what the questions you already have. I don't do that. I say I completely understand that, normally I try to take some time to think about decisions that I make and, I just try to be the person that has the thought process that I think they're having so that they can relate to me. And then that is rapport building. So if I just completely acknowledge that their thought process is justified and I get it because I'm a human being and I don't like making hasty phone sales decisions either, and then just talking like that, like, hey, I completely get it. Shoot, I mean, people call people all the time out of the blue, cold calls. It's made our job so much harder because there are so many scams and weird things out there and salespeople that talk to you that you can never get on the phone again. That are huge call centers with high turnover. I'm glad that I am, not that person, and this is my career. I've been doing it for years. I will continue to do it. It's, part of our business, and I'm building, a business out of helping as many people with this as possible. We have a staff here to help you as time goes on. So I just kind of turn that back into, so I totally get, having to make, a decision and take time to do it. Is there anything, I could do to help you have more information to make that decision? And then I don't know, that kind of works. And I don't know if that just
Hmm.
makes me a words craftsman or whatever, but I think anybody can do that if you just lighten up, calm down, and talk to people like you know that like regurgitate their thought process from you as the type of person that understands that thought process. And if you have a good sales personality, one of the things I think that makes a great salesperson is being able to relate to lots of different types of people. So being able to relate to the alpha male, control the conversation guy, being able
Hmm.
to relate to Miss Betty who wants to talk to her husband, be the guy who can relate to, the guy that's a bombastic asswipe, whatever it is. just try to adapt your personality to it as often as possible. And of course, it doesn't work. Remember, 14.81%
Yep.
doesn't always work. It's not like there's the perfect thing to say to close every lead. But if you could sell 14.81% of your leads a policy, you'd be doing fine. Unless you're paying some ungodly $150 a lead or something, then it might be kind of expensive. But man, I mean, I just don't think there's a lot of rocket science to it. I think people want a script. I remember the other day, somebody said, "Hey, do you have any scripts?" There's a downline. They're like, "Hey, do you have any scripts? I want these scripts." So I sent him some Medicare Monsters videos. They're pretty. I mean, we charge a lot of money for them, but he was a downline. And I sent him just some of these videos, like we don't use a script. We do this. Here's like educational, and here's like Medicare supplement to Medicare supplement. Like here's the pitches that this kind of pitch, right? I said this would be more like what we do. We don't do a script. We just educate on these principles, keep people on the phone, talk to them, be relatable. I sent him that. He says, "All right, but I'm really looking for a script." And I'm like, "Dude, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, brother. Like, if you can find somebody selling more than me using a script, kudos to you. Ask them what their persistency is. How many people are staying on the books for the guy that said, 'Okay, Mrs. Jones, now that we've gotten to the Part A, do you see that line on your Medicare card where it says Part A?'" That doesn't. I don't know. That's just a high lead volume scripting sales, and the only reason I think that they use those scripts in those types of environments is because they're hiring people so fast they don't have time to really train them. So they got to read from a damn script, or they're going to tell somebody the wrong thing. If you learn the Medicare principles, or if you get to a point where you don't know the answer, just say, "Let me find out." And
Yep.
be real. Don't be like, don't make some shit up.
Yeah. And I think it has to do with, I don't want to put this the wrong way, but I'm going to. So screw it. It could be laziness, man. I just want something that works. So give me the script so I can read it verbatim. But then you sound like, so we give out our final expense script to anybody who wants it, right? If you want it, write script right under here and I'll give it to you. But don't read the damn thing verbatim.
Yeah, come on. Have you ever called one of these call centers that do that?
God. Well, Mr. Jason, thank you. Like, dude, what? You're just like a glorified telemarketer. Now, have a conversation like this. Be the expert. Be educational. Like you've proven yourself, obviously, besides the 604 horsepower and 100 apps in a week and all that other shit. Like, you have educated us immensely while being a cool dude, kicking back, cussing. You're a type of guy that at least I would want to relate with. You know what I mean? And there's different strokes for different folks, and you're not, just like you say, 85, you guys are killers, but 85% of the people don't buy from you. But who cares? It doesn't matter. It works with your numbers. Right. So, I don't know. I think I forgot my train of thought. I was just ranting for a second. But screw reading this stuff verbatim. Take the good stuff. Make it your own. And yes, you have to practice. Perfect practice doesn't make perfect because you're never going to be perfect. But lots of perfect practice makes better. So just try it. And if you blow a couple leads, if you have a good marketing system, who cares? You got more where they came from. You can always call them a couple days later. "Sorry, man, I was off my meds. I don't know why I said that stupid thing. I swear, I'm not a telemarketer now."
I don't take a lead off the books until they're dead or threaten to report me to some DNC list or something.
Seriously.
We leave them on there. You can, I mean, we text them and message them and email them, and try to warm them back up. We throw them on our long-term email list. And honestly, I look at a lead too. Like every lead has some value, because what if they're reading my blog post, giving my website traffic, giving my YouTube videos a view? Maybe they never bought anything to me, but they watch every YouTube video that gets emailed to them because they're on my email list. I mean, for me, that has some value to it. So, I don't look at like, "Oh, I didn't sell that lead. That lead was worthless." Son of a bitch, I'm turning off my Facebook leads. I found one that was worthless.
I'm so mad. I've gotten 20 Facebook leads and none of them work.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what you get into, and I think we don't ever educate on this principle enough. But you have to have a sizable sample size before you
Hmm.
can make a real assessment of what your quality is. And also, over time, as you decide, hey, this isn't the quality that I'm wanting, realize that there may be some things that you can tweak. And then you got to play this game where you tweak, one thing at a time. Because if you go in and you tweak 10 things and then it doesn't work, why did you do that? Tweak one thing. Now, if it works, you know that you just fixed it. If it still doesn't work, tweak another thing, and then you have to give it time. It takes time to build a great ad set. But once you get them, they're pretty much on autopilot, and then it's just a digital asset that's bringing you money. So, that's what we see a lot with Facebook advertising is I hear people that are just like, I got 20, like you said, I got 20 leads and sold one policy. I'm like, okay, well, you paid for the leads. So, I mean, it's a zero-sum game at least. Let's figure out what's going on, like how we get some high quality for you.
Yeah, yeah, maybe. I mean, it's probably maybe the leads aren't that good, but maybe you can improve yourself. Maybe you can improve your sales ability. And what's easier, improving your sales ability or split testing ads?
Yeah. No, let me tell you this, dude. For a little while, we had a little telemarketed lead deal. And
Yeah.
the same telemarketers creating these same leads, right? And these people would buy them through us. And I had some people that were like crack addicts asking me for more. These leads were awesome. Can I get more? Can I get more? Had other people, these leads, like none of them said they wanted help. And I'm like, what? There's gotta be. I'm talking, batches of 20 at least a piece, right?
Yeah.
You know, and it just occurred to me, that was when it really occurred to me. Like, some people just don't know how to even get past that first objection. Like, they think when they call somebody that, well, I got a lead, at least half of these are got to be ready to sign up. No, if it was that easy, guess who'd buy all the leads? Me. I'd buy them all. For a 50% closing ratio, you guys wouldn't get any of them because I'd buy them all.
Yeah.
And honestly, to be fair, somebody before me would have bought them all. It's not going to work that way. And that's actually why I don't like buying leads anyway from other people, because typically you're getting some recycled stuff. Me and Baisha talked about, when you buy a $25 lead, that lead is probably the aged leftover garbage from the call centers that bought them at $50 to $70 a lead 2 days prior. And now you're getting exclusive, but it worked its way through that call center and nobody picked it up and it was sold as a fresh new lead to you guys. So that's true, hands down. That's how digital internet leads work, unless you're developing your own. If you're developing your own, you can get away from that. And then like telemarketed and direct mail leads, you can get away from it too. But if you're going to do digital leads, which we love, you really need to develop your own. And now, it wasn't always that way. 5, 6 years ago, I could go on Precise Leads and buy a bunch of Precise Leads, shared leads in my area, and I closed the 25-30% of them, which was awesome. But that didn't last long, because, somebody out there said, I'm going to buy all of them.
Yeah, right. As soon as something works for one person, it ain't going to be a secret forever.
Right.
There aren't now with ads library. I mean, you can see people's marketing, but it is.
You can see it, yeah.
Yeah.
But what you can't replicate is somebody's aptitude to spend money.
Absolutely. Do you guys record your calls? Like, do you guys use that for like training, development?
We do some, yes. We record all calls for 90 days.
Gotcha.
When they begin to fall off, like we try to take the ones we want and save them.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that's what I try to do to help the folks that we're helping is tell them all, like, record your calls, especially if you're a newbie. Because then you can jump on the phone with me or somebody or you or like somebody who's pretty good at this, and we can say, like, as long as you're okay with constructive criticism,
Yeah.
then
Constructive criticism. Been getting that my whole life.
yeah, dude, I love it. I love it. Like, dude, Jason, you suck. Like, this is just not very good. Like, what were you thinking when you were doing this? Like, man, you're right. Stop hitting the bong, dude. So it's true. Like, I would recommend everybody here, whether you're selling Medicare, final expense term, annuity, whatever it is, if you can critique yourself, or you can have a mentor to I cannot talk. Critique yourself, then if you can seriously take a look at it without being too hard on yourself and say, hey man, I'm just getting going with this, I can always get better, then that's going to be one of the quickest ways to improve on all this stuff. You mentioned something before. We're almost done, by the way.
No, you're good.
You said before that, like, what, you don't want to kill people by selling them 17,000 different policies. And I think there's kind of a fine line, because you do want to squeeze water out of a rock. Can you, for the folks who are selling whether it's multiple health products or they're going to cross-sell this to an annuity or to life insurance, how do you kind of introduce it without sounding like a used car salesman?
So when we talk about, we do bundle a lot. So we talk about, like, this is like, if I'm dealing with a turning 65, person,
Yeah.
I want I do kind of a gold, silver, bronze, right? And so the bronze would be like Medicare supplement, drug plan, and cancer policy. Okay, cancer policy to help cover cancer-related drugs like oral and chemo radiation medications, if they got covered, if that happened, right? If they got diagnosed with cancer and they had to take those. So that's bronze, so that's kind of the minimum. And then the silver would just add dental, vision, and hearing coverage as well. And then the gold would be like all four of those. And depending on the way the lead is going, it would either be final expense or home health care also added to the gold, right? So when we pitch it, we just kind of go into saying that these are our three ideal situations for somebody for what we recommend, and we kind of, if it's on the phone, you kind of just joke about comparisons to like cars, or something like, this is the Honda, this is the this is the Honda Accord. Nothing wrong with Honda Accord, it's super efficient. This is the whatever, and the gold is the Mercedes E63S, right? So, but we kind of just go straight through the products that way. On the phone, it's a little bit different because we're breaking down each individual price more right away. If we do in-person sales, which we do have a lot of people that come to the office, we have a sheet where we kind of break it down and we show all the products that are in each group. And sometimes you'll have somebody that says, I just want that Medicare supplement drug plan. Well, that's fine. But because you're presenting it, often you do sell that cancer, you do sell the dental and vision and hearing, and occasionally somebody asks you about life and annuities and things like that. You'd have to get careful. Like if you're in a Medicare Advantage appointment, you have to say, well, we'll have to talk about that later because there's compliance with those types of sales together. And then, with drug plans, it's not really a big deal because normally you sold them the Medicare supplement first, so they're in book of business, so then you can kind of deviate into that other stuff. On the phone a lot, if it's a Medicare supplement savings pitch, like somebody's calling you because you were running an ad saying you could lower their Medicare supplement price, what we try to do is say, hey, we can get your plan. It looks like we can get this Plan G that you have right now, the exact same plan with this other company. And we can also get you with them a $10,000 cancer policy, and you're still going to save $30 a month, right? So what we didn't do is we didn't say we can get you this Plan G for this price, and then this cancer policy costs this price. And it's not that we didn't say that they're not that they're bundled together. We're just saying we can also get you this policy, and it saves you this much money, because it makes them think about it in a way where, like, oh, I get all that coverage and I'm still saving this much money. Normally if you hand them money first, they take as much money as you'll hand them, right?
Bingo.
So we have to presented in that way. And normally once you get them to agree to that, then you can begin to go through the applications process. And so we need to make sure you qualify for the cancer policy, the Medicare supplement, blah, blah, blah. We do a do you want fries with that approach to dental, vision, and hearing on a lot of those calls. So we wait until the very end of the call and we say, by the way, I forgot to ask you, did you want the dental, vision, and hearing coverage with that? And that just brings it up. And we get to close a good bit of those that way. If they're turning 65 and they're new to Medicare, we are trying to kind of offer all that on the forefront, we kind of find out what they needed. Are you losing group coverage? So if you're losing group, are you losing life insurance? Are you losing dental insurance? And then so we just quote based on kind of what they say they're losing. And another thing, if you ask somebody, are you losing dental insurance? And they say, no, I'm not losing it, but I would like to know what it costs. So a lot of times, even if they say they're not losing it, they're still asking you for information about it, right? So you can kind of quote all that stuff out. Turning 65 calls are a little longer winded because they're new to Medicare and you're doing a little more education and a little more quoting on the forefront. But we average more policies per call on a turning 65 because we're getting to set the expectation. Once another guy sold them nothing but a med sup, then they've set the expectation of that. By the same accord, somebody that sells somebody just a Medicare Advantage plan, they've already set the expectation at that zero. So it's always hard to deprogram them and get them to spend more money.
It's like a brand new salesperson, right?
That's right.
You want to get somebody brand new so you can just teach them the right way as opposed to, I've sold used cars for 17 years. This is what. Yeah.
They know it all. Everybody knows it all.
You can't teach me anything, you young guy. Dude, for some of this complex stuff, are you using Zoom or any sort of like face-to-face technology, or are you just crushing it over the phone?
We've done some Zoom. Some of my, like a lot of times I'll have a link on that will allow them to set up, schedule their own appointment. And in the process of scheduling their own appointment, they can set it up as a Zoom appointment as well.
Cool. Does that work? So before I ask you a question, I'll tell you, setting up with final expense, at least what we've realized through running crap tons of ads, is that setting up appointments, like 70% of seniors are going to miss them just because with final expense, they haven't made good decisions in the past, so how dare we expect them to make a good decision now based off of past history? These Medicare folks are a little bit different. Like, do you find that they keep appointments a little better?
What if they set up their own appointment? They keep them pretty well.
Gotcha.
Especially the turning 65-year-olds. If they're setting it up through the automation that we're doing, then they tend to do a really good job of keeping the appointment.
Cool, man. That's awesome. That's definitely a different psychology. All right, man. Last question before I let you go, and I appreciate this so much. Do you have just one piece of technology that my peeps can use to make everything kind of easier or flow better, whether it's a CRM, recording device? I don't know. What do you think?
Right now, first of all, a CRM in general, for sure. I know there's a lot of people running spreadsheets, paper files, stuff like that still. Get one from the get-go. Even if it's Radius Bob or something like that, just something cheap and generic, somewhere to start storing stuff so that it's organizable and where you can create activities that remind you of things. And when you're talking to a client, take a note that says, okay, I'm turning, if you're talking to somebody and they're turning 65 now, normally to get a household discount for them, you have to ask them about their spouse, right? So ask the spouse's birthday. We'll put the spouse in your CRM as a prospect, put their birthday in there, and then set activities that anybody that's in your CRM, you automatically get an email when they get within their open enrollment window for Medicare. It's a free lead, right? If you don't, guess what? They are very likely to get their Medicare somewhere else, and you are very unlikely to follow up with them. So that has been a huge for us. We use Agency Block and ProDash. We're actually kind of dual wielding right now. We kind of entered on Agency Block. It's very good for that kind of stuff, like what I'm talking about there. ProDash even has a whole nother level where they'll do like direct mail branded with your letterhead and stuff for you and send it to your clients and automatically tell you when someone can get a better rate and all that kind of stuff. Like it's a whole nother level of like customer service automation. But it's on the back end. It's not good for leads. It's good for like the back end managing your book. That's the first thing we did. Now we're toying a lot with the lead automation on the front end, which I don't really want to like drop too much on the automation side because we're working on it a lot ourselves. But I definitely think automating is great because anytime you can take your agents out of the busy work, then you can have them selling more, right? So if they're spending more time on the phone with people, less time, typing out messages and emails and all that kind of stuff, that's better for you. And if you are the sole salesperson, it's better for you too. Why do you want to be doing a bunch of busy work?
Yeah. Focus on the stuff that makes you money. Awesome, bro. Awesome. Well, Justin, dude, we're at 68 minutes here. And man, I appreciate you so much. I think for all you guys who are on here, he's given us quite a bit of wisdom, quite a bunch of stuff that you can listen to over and over again, and you can kind of craft your sales game based on this. So I don't know. I'm going to speak for everybody. I can't see him because I don't multitask. I'm just like focusing on you. But dude, we all appreciate you so much for coming back on here, bro.
No, it's been fun, man. It always is. I love talking about this stuff, and you guys are awesome too. So appreciate you having me, man.
Awesome. No doubt. No doubt. All right. So this is going to end it. If you guys have any extra questions, you can just go ahead and post them below, and I'll shoot Justin out a couple. I'll shoot them out to him, and then if they're easy enough, then go ahead.
I shared it in the Gurus group as well, so hopefully we got some people on there viewing everything.
Awesome, man. What up, Gurus? What's going on? All right, man. Well, dude, I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, man. Me too. Thank you so much.
All right, brother. Catch you soon.
Bye.